Okay, and as you can see, I'm just going to take the glass out because I'm not going to use the glass afterwards. I'll save it for another project. But as you can see, this is like the particle board backing of the frame. That's what you want to look for, not the cardboard one. And I'm going to start off with putting one coat of my black chalk paint as the base coat. Now, I don't like doing these transfers on raw wood. I always paint a white background because when you put the photos on a raw unpainted piece of wood, the photo just doesn't show through very well. So I always like to have a little bit of a dark color underneath, and then I'm going to put my white chalk paint on top of this. And the other thing that I have found is it does not work as well with latex paint. You have to use a chalk paint for your best results for this transfer method. I have a fabulous chalk paint recipe that I use all the time, and I'll put a link below in the description so you can have a look at it and make some for yourself. Okay, and now I'm putting on the first coat of the white chalk paint. I'm actually going to put 2 coats of the white chalk paint on top of this. And sorry, it's quite dark and gloomy here today. I don't have very good lighting, so we're having a lot of shadows, but you can still see what I've got going on. Okay, this is a photo I'm going to use. It's a black and white photo that I took with my iPhone this summer, and it's of my little Yorkie from a day at the beach. And I printed it out on our LaserJet printer. You can use an inkjet printer, but I would recommend for your best results to use a LaserJet. I actually have a video where I compared the inkjet and the LaserJet videos together, so you can see the results from both, but I use my LaserJet printer for all of my photo transfers. I'm going to give it a little bit of a sand just to take off any high edges or little lumps and bumps and make sure that it's nice and smooth. That will guarantee that you have a better outcome too, is if your chalk painted surface is smooth. And I'm going to use my Mod Podge in a matte finish. That's what I use for all of my photo transfers. So what you're going to do first is you're going to put a light coat over the whole photo. Make sure you cover every corner and just take your time. Make sure you have not too thick, but just a light coat over the whole surface. If you don't have a LaserJet printer, you can always go to your Staples or to your office supply store. They all have laser printers there, and you can hook your phone up into one of their machines and print off the photos that you want on computer paper for your projects. So you don't have to spend the money in investment in a LaserJet printer if you're not going to be doing a whole bunch of projects. Or you can give it a try with your inkjet printer that you have at home, and it might work out okay. I just prefer the LaserJet, as the finish for photos is more crisp and more clean. And you'll see if you look back in my other video that I made when I'm comparing them, the difference in how clean and crisp the LaserJet printer is. Now you're going to press it down firmly. Make sure there's no wrinkles, no bubbles. Take your finger and press them all out really well. And then we're going to let it sit for 24 hours. I should also mention when you're printing out your photo that you should make sure to reverse your image. If not, when you do this technique, your picture will be backwards. Okay, I've let this sit overnight, and I'm going to take a damp rag and just gently dampen the whole photo. You don't want to make this soaking wet. You just want it damp so you can just start to see the picture show through. And then you're going to take your fingertips and you're just going to lightly rub. I always like to start in the middle. I find if you start on the edges, it sometimes will pull the transfer up. So I start in the middle and work outwards, and that seems to give me the best results. This takes patience, and probably if you're doing this for the first time, you're going to have not great results because you kind of have to get the feel of the paper coming off of the photo and knowing when to stop rubbing, because sometimes what people will do is they'll rub too hard and they'll rub the picture right off. So you have to kind of get the feel of the paper coming off and knowing when you've gotten far enough to quit rubbing in that area. I find with this method that it never is perfect. There's always going to be little bits and pieces that rub off that weren't supposed to, and that's just part of this technique. It's just not perfect. Another common thing that will happen is people say, I have a cloudy haze. Well, you can see a cloudy haze here. What I do is I just dampen my finger and just gently rub, because that just means there's a little bit of paper still left on there and you just want to get off the last little bits and pieces. So just dampen your finger, gently rub that little cloudy piece away. Sometimes it'll completely come away, sometimes it won't, but you'll find when you put your top coat on that a lot of that will just go away and you won't see it anymore. I love the rustic look of this technique. I don't like things to look perfect. I like them to look a little bit chippy, a little bit rough around the edges, and that's just my preference, but I think I like the way that it turned out. And you can see around the edges where it rubbed off, but that's going to be okay because a lot of it you're not going to see when it goes back into the frame. Okay, and here's another tip that I found along the way is I use a Varathane matte finish water-based product. I don't like using the Mod Podge as a top coat. I find that this one gets rid of all that cloudy bits and pieces that you might have left from the Mod Podge, and it will dry crystal clear. I found when I was using the Mod Podge, it kind of went streaky, it kind of stayed a little bit cloudy here and there, and this doesn't happen with this product. And this is also non-yellowing. You want the water-based Varathane, and I like the matte finish, but you can choose any finish that you would like. There's semi-gloss and there's gloss, whatever your preference is. And we're just going to put a nice even coat on this, and then we're going to let it dry, and then it'll be all done. And we're ready to put it back in the frame. I'm not going to use the glass because now this is all sealed, and I like the look of it in the frame without the glass after this technique. I'm just going to pop it in and push down the tabs, and it's ready to display in your home. And how stinking cute is this little picture of Tina? She loves being at the beach. And there you have the finished product. Get some Mod Podge, get some photos done with your LaserJet or your inkjet printer, and give this technique a try. And don't worry about it being perfect, just have fun. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.